mentioned that you like to have people show up who are dynamic, who can think outside of the box, and are creative people. How receptive would you be to somebody at the interview asking about something that would stretch the limits of a traditional workspace, like asking if they can work alternative hours, like 9-hour days, and then take Fridays off? Or if someone came in with like colored hair or piercings, would you be willing to, would that be like a dead stop for your in the interview process, or is that something you would be able to accommodate?
Let's see, for us, because the EEAs are doing field trips, it's really important to have them on site, in the building, walk on the site. There's no way you could dial that in, you know, or work other hours. You need to be there for those trips. So we're kind of locked into that because we're a service provider. We need to provide the service to the people we want the service to reach. So we don't have a lot of flexibility on that. Dyed hair, not a problem. You know, the question I would ask is it going to be so distracting for the student that they're not going to be able to get the message? But, you know, it's freedom of speech. It's, you know, it's who you are. So I can't imagine discriminating against somebody for that. But I want you there in the building for the classes.
Yeah, similar thing in the sense of the scheduling and the teaching schedule is what it is. And so but we have sort of, as I mentioned, that pathway from intern to on-call to part-time instructor to full-time instructor. In a way, there's a lot of flexibility in the beginning of the position because, you know, while it's on-call, it's also, you know, if you're available or not. So there's a little bit of grow it over time. I'm definitely with my team open to being flexible on hours if they have something going or they need to. I ask them to work a long day, absolutely I'm going to flex and say, hey, you know, get out here early on Friday if you need to or whatever. As far as diversity, I really look for diversity in our team with hairstyle, with gender preference, with, you know, ethnic background, with age. I mean, one of the struggles I think that we have with our organization is we're really good with beginning and ending career people, but we have a hard time in the middle. I just had this conversation with my boss, and that, you know, we're a great place to get started teaching because you get exposure to all these different kinds of kids, right? So you really get an opportunity to teach in a lot of different ways and learn with the team and collaborate. But then you kind of stop, and unless you're super aggressive with, you know, like, I want to try and get into this job or project manage this, and, you know, you're flexible. So flexibility, I'd say, is really, really important from a standpoint of the new hire. Like, you don't want to say yes to everything. You got to limit that, because I got into my own personal struggles. Like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, oh, I'm now doing 1.5 jobs. Wait a minute. So I'm not overemphasizing that point, but definitely some flexibility in what you're able to do. But you know, the Bay Area is so diverse. My wife and I were just walking the lake and just admiring the new redevelopment of Lake Merritt. How diverse this city is in particular, and how not just diverse with groups hanging out with themselves, but across the gamut of people really starting to sort of be with each other out in different ways, and it's just so great to see. And so I definitely want that as part of our team, because we want that diversity reflected, and you know, you want to be taught by somebody maybe that looks like me, or has the same ideas as me, or is the same age as me. Although that would be tough for the second grader. But you know, definitely looking for diversity. And you know, I think maybe the limits would be, you know, we had one guy intern that was doing the work in shirts off, and the women interns were like, wait a minute, that's not appropriate, or women with them not covering enough and stuff like that. So there's definitely limits to dress in terms of that stuff, you know. But that's pretty much, you know, I think most folks understand that. But other than that, absolutely, I think diversity is something really we root for.
I think with the flexibility, I think our team has been able to be flexible. But when it comes to like delivering the service, I think we need to be like, you know, like really obvious. We need to be at the school on time, because we have like 80 students waiting for us. We can't be late for those type of things. But as far as diversity, I mean, I think we do try to also pride ourselves of being a diverse staff. Even though we're really small, we try to be as diverse as possible, and also just diversity in mentalities, you know. And I think people could still be really professional if they have X, Y, Z color, you know. I think it's the professionalism could flow through. So yeah.
Great.